Hey everyone, welcome to She Knows Arsenal. My name is Jessica and I'm your host, and you can follow me on Twitter at It's Jessino. How are we all doing today? Let me know how you're doing. I hope you're doing well. Make sure that you can hear me and stuff like that. I'm self-conscious about technical glitches and things like that. So just let me know that you can hear me, see me fine. But I hope you guys are doing well wherever you are, and you're healthy and safe and all those types of things. Thank you for, being here and tuning in with me. I've been really enjoying these just kind of random streams in the morning, yeah. But today we're going to be doing basically a preview for our game against Slavia Prague, our most important game of the season. We talked about a little bit of team news, following the press conference that Arteta had earlier. Hold on, let me turn my phone down. Leno also did a press conference, so we'll touch on some of the things that he said there as well. Do a lineup prediction based on the team news, and then we'll get some score predictions. But the news is breaking now that Andrej Kadela has been suspended has a 10-match suspension for the situation with Glenn Kamara, where he racially abused him, in their tie in the Europa League. And so UEFA has banned him for 10 games. And I think not only is that punishment not sufficient for what was done, but then Glenn Kamara was, subsequently banned for 3 games for attacking the player or for assault. So the news is breaking now about that. If you haven't heard, I just wanted to make sure I mentioned it on the stream, but I think I just need to process it a little bit. It feels soft on Kadela. It feels harsh on Glenn Kamara. And it just feels like they could not punish this guy without having to punish the person that was actually hurt in all this. And it continuously happens. And I don't think a 10-game ban is really sufficient for what happened. But yeah, if you didn't know, now you know. Glenn Kamara is also banned, for 3 games for assaulting Kadela after he was racially abused. So yeah, but I think it's up to us now, on Thursday to make things right and to kick their asses. We did not complete the assignment last time around. Obviously, the score is 1-1. We were at home. They were able to get that really crucial away goal, which is very disappointing, but we just have to take care of business, and hopefully the team does that. Arteta spoke in his press conference about the players that are available and the players that are not. Luckily, Saka and Smith Rowe are back. So for me, that eases a lot of the anxiety about how we're going to attack, and gives us some more options that don't include Willian. No Aubameyang and Odegaard up until this point. He was saying that they will see after training today whether or not those two will be available. They have to kind of assess them, and they may or may not train based on how they feel. So that's a little worrying, but at the same time, I think with Saka and Smith Rowe, you can feel a little bit more assured that we can put out a lineup that's dangerous enough to beat Slavia Prague, which, to be honest, I think we should have been able to take care of this in the first leg. So he also spoke on Balogun and the fact that they will make everything official when it's done, but they're very, very close to signing Balogun on a 4-year deal, which is a very, very good thing. I've spoken about it on previous streams that, it's not so much for me about making sure that he plays, he becomes the starting number 9 at Arsenal. It's about protecting our assets and giving us an opportunity to maybe get a fee for him, just taking care of business, I guess. It's just a very astute business move to be able to keep academy graduates along for the ride a little bit longer, get them on longer term contracts so that we have the ability to control the situation moving forward, if that makes sense. So Charles Watts asked about the likelihood of Balogun going on loan. Arteta obviously did not answer, but said once we get everything sorted out and everything is official, then they'll start thinking about how they're going to carve out his path to the first team and what they're going to do with him next season. And I think that a lot of that has to do with what happens with Lacazette. I would not be surprised if Arteta was thinking about keeping Lacazette for a little bit longer. He seems to trust him. And, if we're not sure we're going to get the fee that we want for him, I wouldn't be surprised if he was extended this summer. And if that's the case, then I think Balogun would probably want to go on a loan so that he could, get some first team minutes, So you guys can let me know how you feel about that. But let's get into some of these comments. Eddie says, hello. Hey, Eddie. New Dawn Game says, can't wait for the game tomorrow. Yeah, I hope that, I'm excited, but I'm nervous at the same time, but I get you. JB says, hey, Jess, hey. James Johnstone says, did Leno punch the press conference into his own net? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. JB says, racist Slavia Prague players has been banned for 10 games. Yeah, we had kind of spoken about that. AK Gunner 49 says, very nervous for tomorrow. Yeah, that would make sense. It's a huge, huge game. Yeah. JB says, lots of pressure on Arsenal and Arteta tomorrow. Yes, lots and lots of pressure. Eddie says, I'm not nervous. I'm 100% confident. Good conquers all. Yep. I think we should be confident, though. I mean, if this team can't beat Slavia Prague, and move on, then, I think it's a mentality thing, not a talent thing. We have more than enough good players to take care of business, so hopefully we do the business. Excuse me. Seawalder says, that guy has a target on his back now. Yeah, he does. New Dawn Games asked, would I start Saka at left back? So we will do a lineup prediction for sure. So I'll let you know what I think about that in a couple of minutes. But let's see what else. Arteta said, kind of spoke about the judgment of results and how results are pretty much the only thing that matters, externally. So for us, the fans and, people that are from the outside looking in can only really see results, take results into account when you're trying to measure progress. And he understands that, but internally they're able to measure it in different ways. And so he understands the pressure of the results lining up at some point, which I thought was an interesting point that he made. He said he's really happy with Odegaard and Ceballos and their ability to adapt to the Premier League. Ceballos has obviously been here for 2 seasons. Odegaard has only been here since January, but he's been very impressed with both of them. And the conversations about whether or not we want to continue on and keep these two longer term, those conversations will happen at the end of the season. He also spoke about Xhaka and whether or not he would play left back. I think this is all kind of like playing on all of our minds. The game against Sheffield was kind of like, okay, well, we're trying something out, trying to figure out how we're going to cope with not having Kieran Tierney, which is a huge blow for us. And I thought to a certain extent, Xhaka at left back did work. He obviously wasn't playing like a traditional left back role. He was more of a left-sided center back. But all in all, I think it was successful. Whether or not we would be able to implement that against a more pressing side, a more confident side in Slavia Prague is yet to be determined. But Arteta spoke about Xhaka's discipline is what makes him so good at being able to play in multiple positions. Obviously, he can play a deeper role in the midfield, also center back and left back, and that's a good quality for this side. But he did not really confirm whether or not Xhaka, whether or not he would like to see Xhaka play left back or whether or not he's thinking about putting him there. So I'm not quite sure what he's thinking there. Cedric, um, was very involved in the capitulation at the end of the first leg. So I'm not sure if he's lost trust, from Arteta. Once you lose trust, it's hard to get it back with Arteta. So trying Xhaka there may have been like a backup plan, but it just seems like such a heavy game to try something so new, if that makes sense. So yeah, and we'll get into obviously the lineup, prediction, but that's something to take into consideration is that he trusts Xhaka in multiple positions, so he may trust Xhaka to play there even in a first time, against a better opposition, than Cedric. He also spoke about the need for efficiency, in Europe, and we saw that. I mean, if Lacazette finishes his chance, if Saka finishes his chance, if Aubameyang finishes his chance, this is a completely different conversation that we're having. We're talking about how we're just going to, be professional showing, not give up goals, just kind of see it out into the semifinals. But the lack of efficiency is what has really brought us to this point, of not feeling as confident about our ability to go through to the next round. And I think Lacazette showed a really good mentality against Sheffield to, in a way, make up for his lack of clinical finishing against Slavia Prague in the first leg. He's been pretty efficient in these last couple of weeks, besides that big miss against Slavia Prague, he's been the man for us, so hopefully, if he does play, he can bring that same level of efficiency, because I think we need to go ahead and kind of put this away early. It'll be difficult, but it needs to happen. Let's see. JB says Laka will start. Okay. AK Gunner says, no, Abba is a massive loss. I do not trust Lacazette in a massive away game. That's a good point. Aubameyang is definitely our talisman, our most, clinical striker, historically. So not having him will be, if he cannot play, is a big blow for us. Yo-Yo says, if players like Laka, Luiz, Holding, El Neni get extensions, people have to stop saying the squad isn't Arteta's. Yeah, that's a good point. I think we have to be careful about extending certain players, and keeping them, past their date. With Lacazette, I can see him and Luiz getting extensions. I can actually see all four of those players that you're saying, have new contracts with Arsenal next season. It can be problematic, in us moving to the next level. But Arteta seems to really want to lean on these players that he feels are consistent, know the game plan, and have experience. So if it doesn't work out, it's his grave. You know what I mean? But I completely understand what you're saying about that. Would mean that these are Arteta's players. If he's re-signing them. Newman says, show us them lovely Nashers. I'm trying, you guys. I'm totally tired, but I'm just kind of working it through. I need another cup of coffee, really, to get going. But yeah, I'm a little tired. So but yeah, we move. JB says Ceballos shouldn't start. He just spins around and loses the ball. That's a really good point. And it was brought up, I think it was by Charles Watts or somebody, one of the, the journalists that were in the press conference, that if you play Xhaka at left back, you weaken the midfield. And Arteta was saying, well, we're already weakened as it is. Not having Tierney, not having Luiz, Odegaard, Aubameyang, these types of players is already a weakened squad. So we have to do, we have to make concessions and find solutions for these gaps in the squad, so wouldn't be surprised to see Ceballos in that midfield. I don't think him and Partey particularly work well together. I would prefer to see El Neni, if Xhaka starts at left back, but we'll see. Dave says a lot of people don't seem to know that the homegrown players can only sign 2-year contract for their first contract. That's interesting. That's a good point. That's a really good point. See. AK Gunner says we need our wide forward Saka, Martinelli, and Pepe to contribute to goals. Lacazette needs help because he's not a reliable goal scorer. Exactly, and it's not just on Lacazette to be clinical. It's Saka too. It's Pepe too. It's Martinelli. It's who's ever out there. I think Lacazette gets the brunt of the criticism because he's not a fan favorite. So when we see his misses, they're more glaring than Pepe's and Saka's, but everybody needs to be clinical. And we need to finish this game off early. Yo-Yo says it would be foolish for Arteta to openly admit tactics before the game. He has to keep his cards close to his chest. Exactly. Journalists ask these questions because they have to, but they never really get the answer that they're looking for. I'm going to start so-and-so. I'm going to start so-and-so, so we can, something tells me it's going to be Cedric, even though Xhaka did a good job. It feels like it's going to be Cedric. I can't imagine not playing our best center mid pairing, against this team. So I'm not surprised that he wasn't forthcoming with his tactical, ideas. JB says if Arsenal want to go through, they need to get the job done and be professional. Exactly. And those are things that, don't really go hand in hand with Arsenal consistently. We tend to miss early chances, make it really difficult on ourselves, or we're not professional enough to see the game out and not concede. So that's definitely something that we need to work on. We need to do it in the game tomorrow, but we also need to make that kind of more a fabric of who we are as a team. We just don't have that. We don't have that in us. There's some good questions here. Some good questions that are just, oh, wow. The early morning questions are always the worst. Here's one from Callum. Do you think Aubameyang's contract extension was a mistake? I think it's something that needed some more consideration. I know that they probably looked at it and, Aubameyang is an elite level athlete, right? So we probably never thought that he would get injured, that he would fall off of the proverbial cliff, in terms of aging players. But he was outperforming his XG to a certain extent, so without getting into, without a creative midfielder available like an Odegaard or an Ozil to feed Aubameyang the ball, it was a real big risk to re-sign him if we weren't going to be able to put him into the positions to be successful. And I think that's ultimately what's been wrong with Aubameyang. I don't think he's fallen off of a cliff in terms of his fitness. I think he lacks confidence, and when you lack confidence, you tend not to go into challenges. You tend not to win your battles. But I think not having a creative midfielder is what's really been it's probably played on his mind. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know. That is probably playing on his mind, feeling like he's not going to get the chances. Early on in the season, we spoke about how he's just not getting chances. Last season, he wasn't getting a lot of chances, obviously, because we didn't have really a lot of creativity in that side. But when he got a chance, he was finishing it. So now he's still not getting that many chances, especially early on in the season, wasn't getting them because we didn't have a creative midfielder, and he wasn't outperforming his XG anymore. He was missing chances that we were used to him putting away. So do I think it was a mistake? For me, it's not. I wasn't 100% sold on him re-signing because I just was, to be honest, I was fatigued from Aubameyang and his constant threat of wanting to leave last season. I thought it was very distracting the entire season. Basically from January, hearing that Aubameyang wanted to leave. He wanted to go to Real Madrid. He had this dream his entire life going to Real Madrid. He's looking for a bigger move. He doesn't want to play for Arsenal anymore. I was tired of it, and being a follower of Dortmund, you also got, the here we go again, with this guy. So after feeling like he didn't want to be at Arsenal anymore, and then for him to kind of do a U-turn, I personally do believe that, because of the pandemic, he ended up staying. He wasn't getting the type of offers that he probably was expecting. and Arsenal offered him a contract that was suitable for him, and he took it. But I just don't think Aubameyang has much to work for in his career anymore for signing to Arsenal, because we're in a long-term project. He's getting paid as much as he's ever going to get paid. He's 31 years old, so we have players that aren't really working too much. It's not like he's working to win anything. Gabon is not the best African nation. So I just don't think he has the motivation to do what we need at this point in the project. So for me, it wasn't really something that I thought we needed to do. I understand why a lot of fans thought we needed to do this, and fair play. We needed our top goal scorer, but we didn't know where the goals were going to come from if he didn't score, and he's not scoring now, and we're still getting goals, to a certain extent, so a mistake. I don't know yet. It's only been a couple months since he's signed that contract, but right now it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Let's see. Yo-Yo says Aubameyang flirting with elsewhere was no different to Vieira consistently angling for moves every summer as a captain. It's a cost of having talented players. Yeah, I guess so. But we're talking about completely different teams and completely different eras. It's Vieira's a different animal. I don't think you can really compare them. Of course, he always wanted to leave, but he acted like a captain. He pretty much showed up every single game. And I just think Aubameyang is different. We're in a different place in a different time, and we need to redo the culture at this club, so having a player that's your captain that's vocally wanting to leave, and it's just unsettling, so I don't know. I get the thought process that good players always kind of flirt with wanting to leave, but I was very tired of Aubameyang last season, and it just is what it is. It's a personal thing, I don't know. New Dawn Game says, who are Slavia's biggest threats? What is the optimal game plan they could deploy tomorrow? Look, Sima, their right winger or so, he's their most dangerous player. They're one of those types of teams that they don't need a lot of chances to score. We saw that when they played against us in the first leg. They're not going to batter us, but if they come down one time, they will punish us. So I think they'll play it safe. Tomorrow, we were talking about this. Me and Harry were talking about this yesterday. I think they'll sit deep. I think they'll play it safe. I don't think they'll open themselves up. I think it's really unfortunate that we won't have Odegaard, because if they do sit deep, we don't really have the types of players that can break down lower blocks. He's good at it, but we don't have a lot of players that are good at it. I think that would make it more difficult, for somebody like Pepe or even Martinelli, because they're players that need space. The game to play them was in the first leg, and we opted for Willian, which I thought was a mistake. So Arteta has to try to anticipate whether or not Slavia Prague will play exactly how they played in the first leg and play a higher line. If that's the case, then you play your Martinellis, you play your Pepes, you run in behind. But if they sit deep, that's when you're going to need your more technical players. I think that's where Emile Smith-Rowe comes in, where Saka comes in, and having both of them available will help us out. I think that will help Lacazette as well, because you don't need all that space in behind. So yeah, I think he has to anticipate what they'll do. I anticipate them playing it safe and just trying to nick a goal, not giving us space in behind. They'll be afraid of us playing our faster players. But Sima's their biggest threat, but really the biggest threat is that they don't need a lot of chances to score. Let's see. JB says Aubameyang can't live off of his FA Cup heroics from last season. The video of him with his new hairstyle just screamed of arrogance and overconfidence. Oh, man. Well, without really commenting on the hairstyle, I think that what really disappointed me was there was a video that came out on Arsenal.com when we were going through that really difficult period of 7 to 8 games without winning. And I remember Aubameyang was talking, and I think he had on one of the red jumpers, and he had his hat on. His hat was down low. He wasn't even looking at the camera. And he just looked uninterested and upset, and I just looked at him and I just thought, this is just not what we expected from you. It was embarrassing, so I just he's just the player that I always knew he was. He's more of a good time type of player. He's a very good finisher, good clinical striker, but he's not somebody that you can rely on when it comes to leadership. So I just hope that he comes back into form, and doesn't give off these Ozil type of vibes moving forward. I really hope for him, and I hope for the team, because we do need him. But the Aubameyang situation is really annoying. That's all I can really say. But yeah, you guys, let's move on a little bit. What else were we going to do? So that was the team news. So lineup predictions. Let's go ahead and go into that really quick. Let me share my screen. So it's going to look a little funky for a second. And then, let's see, share. Can y'all see that? I hope so. Yep. Can you guys see that? I hope so. All right. So, yeah, we're going to start like this. So let's go into our 4-2-3-1. Not that one, the other one. All right. Let's start off with the goalkeeper. Runner sit. No, I'm just kidding. Let's do Leno, because we know he's going to be there. Let's start with the right back. So I think Arteta trusts Bellerin enough to play in this game. It's a big game, and I don't know. I'm not feeling the Chambers thing right now. I think Chambers will play against Fulham, but I think Bellerin will play against Slavia Prague. So let's put Bellerin in here. All right. Let's do the center backs. So right side to center back. I think the obvious here is going to be Rob Holding, because Louise is hurt. And then this is where it kind of gets interesting. You guys let me know in the chat box whether or not you think it's going to be Marie or Gabrielle. I don't think Gabrielle had a very good game against Slavia Prague. That being said, I think he's our best defender, but it's something about that Holding and Gabrielle combination that I don't like. I think they both need a leader next to them, and maybe that's the issue. Gabrielle plays well with Louise because Louise leads him. Holding plays well with Marie because Marie leads him. So the two guys that need to be led, they don't have that when they play together. So, but I think regardless, Gabrielle will play. So let's throw Gabrielle in here. But you guys let me know what you would do, if you would do something different. This is where it gets interesting. Again, Arteta said that he said that, we have to find solutions. But I just think you weaken the midfield a little bit too much and unsettle it a little bit too much if you put Xhaka in the left back position, because then we're talking about Ceballos or El Neni, and I'm not sure either of them would be best fit for this game. And we might need Xhaka a little bit further forward if we want to break down a lower block. So I'm actually going to go with Cedric. You guys let me know what you think. I would not play Saka here, because if Saka is fit, I think which he is, I think he'll play right wing. So that being said, let's drop trusty Xhaka in here, the real captain of Arsenal Football Club. I love that mic'd up video of him. I know a lot of people do not rate Granit Xhaka. I don't think he's what we need long term, but for now, he's the best option next to the main man, my guy, Thomas Partey. We need more of those line breaking passes from you. We need more, we need you to impose yourself on this game. Please don't play like Boo Boo like you did in the first leg. But yeah, I think that's what he'll go with. Cam, because Odegaard, I don't think is going to be fit. I think we have to put Smith Rowe here, don't we? Saka played well here, but because he's fit, I think he'll play right wing. So let's put Emil Smith Rowe here. All right. Right wing. Bukayo Saka, star boy. And all right, here's where it gets kind of interesting. So, depending on what happens in the next couple of days, I think this could be where things change. I believe if Aubameyang is fit, if he's fit, he will play. Now, I think Arteta trusts Lacazette and likes Lacazette so much that regardless to whether Aubameyang is fit or not, Lacazette will play. So, I think we could see one of those Aubameyang off of the left, Lacazette through the center. If Aubameyang is fit, I don't think Lacazette's getting dropped for this game no matter what's going on with Aubameyang. But let's just say that Aubameyang is not fit because as of now, he's still recovering from the flu. So I think this would be a game for, let's see, this is where it gets difficult. Are we anticipating that Slavia Prague is going to sit deep? I think that's what I'm going to assume because I think that they will want to play it safe. Ooh, this is where it gets more difficult because Martinelli, Pepe, and Aubameyang all need space in behind. I don't know. Well, let's just go with the striker situation because now I'm confused. I think Lacazette starts no matter what through the center. So is it Willian? Is it Pepe or Aubameyang off of the left? What is my gut telling me? I think Aubameyang will be fit, and I think he'll play, regardless of if there's space or not. I think he will recover from the flu, and I think this is where he'll play. And I believe if he doesn't play, I think Willian will. What do you guys think of that? So we have Leno in goal, Bellerin right back, Holding right-sided center back, Gabriel, Cedric at left back, Thomas and Xhaka in the midfield, Emil Smith Rowe in front of them in the 10 role, Saka off of the right, Aubameyang off of the left, and Lacazette through the middle. What do y'all think of that? Let me know in the chat box. What do you guys think? It's so difficult doing that because it's like I can't see you guys and I can't see the comments, so I'm just hoping that things are going well, but let's see what you guys are saying. AK Gunner 49 says Marie and Holding better partnership, but Gabriel best center back, and that's really the issue with that. Marie and Holding play better together, but I think Gabriel comes in because he's our best defender, right? Alfred says Holding is more of a leader than Gabriel, but still leadership is a factor. I think Holding is a better leader than Gabriel, but I think it's Marie who leads. So here's the thing. I think it's the balance, right? So I think I figured it out. Okay, so Marie and Louise both want to lead, so that's why they don't look that great together. Holding and Gabrielle both want to be led, so they don't work well together. So you need the leader and the follower, and we don't quite have that, but I still think Arteta is going to break that apart and play with Gabrielle. Yo-Yo says Pepe ahead of Cedric. Yeah, I would like to see that so I think Aubameyang's going to play. I think he'll be over this flu. I just believe that. So if it wasn't Aubameyang, I would choose Pepe. But something tells me that even if Aubameyang's not playing, he'll play Willian. I just think he will. Martinelli played well the other night, but again, I just don't see Arteta playing Martinelli. I would love to see Martinelli. I just don't see him starting him in this game. I really, really don't. AK Gunner says I would play Saka as a 10, Pepe and Martinelli on the wing and Laka or Abba up front. So you wouldn't play Smith Rowe then. That's interesting. And I think the reason why I wouldn't go with this is because I anticipate them sitting in deep. So let's just say that they played exactly the same way that they played against us the first time. Then I would pretty much start with the exact same front four that played against Sheffield, because we'd have more space in behind. But I think they're going to be, I think they're going to kind of sit back. I really, really do. That's what I'm anticipating. They'll play safe. So if that's the case, I think Martinelli and Pepe won't have that space to run in behind. But I like that front four if they play exactly the way that they played the first time. So I do agree with you guys. Tony says, if Abba has missed training, then he will be a threat off the bench. I'm hoping Pepe, left wing, and Laka. Yep. It's definitely sticky in that left position. It is. It really is. And it just depends. I think it cannot be Willian, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. I think the combination of Cedric and Willian was so fruitless in that first leg. It just screamed dead. We need energy. We need somebody that can impose themselves. But for some reason, Arteta, views him as kind of like a 10 in a way. He can play. He's the third option after Odegaard and Smith Rowe. And if Smith Rowe is playing centrally because Odegaard is not fit, then the next person on that left-hand side is Willian, unless Aubameyang is fit. So it's just a really difficult situation. Yo-Yo says, any player returning from injury shouldn't be asked to start. The game can easily go extra time, and there's a lot of football left this season. Yeah, but Aubameyang is not hurt. He's recovering from flu, so it could just be a matter of get in there, make it work. But I think he should come off of the bench. I'm anticipating, that's my predicted lineup of what Arteta will do. But obviously, if I'm choosing, Aubameyang comes off the bench. I just don't think he needs to start. Eddie says, players' mentality means more to me than the lineup. Yeah, exactly. I think that's such a good point, Eddie, that regardless of who we put out there, we should have enough to beat Slavia Prague. The issue is that we have to have the mentality to get this done. We have to score early, and we have to put the game out of their reach very early in this game and be professional. So regardless if it's Willian, if it's Aubameyang, Lacazette, whoever, they need to show up. And that's the main thing. All right, you guys, score predictions. Let's get into it. In the chat box, let me know what your score prediction is for this game. Donna Bombing asks, are you American? Yes, I am. I am. All right, so while you guys are putting your score predictions in there, I want to let you guys know that that per Barry Burns' request, somebody that's watched my videos quite a bit, he asked a couple weeks ago if I could do some sort of scouting report of the MLS and players that could potentially come in and play for Arsenal. And it's happening. It's happening tonight. It'll be around 10:30 p.m. UK time. And I actually will have Sophie Nicolau from the Highbury squad with me. If you know Sophie, she's amazing. And she follows Arsenal, of course, but she also does a lot of work for the MLS and the LA Galaxy. So we will be collaborating together to put together a scouting report of players from the MLS that could potentially play for Arsenal. So I think that's a really interesting show. The MLS is really coming up. A lot of good young players are coming through that league, so it should be a good time. So make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. Me and Sophie will be on later at 10:30 p.m. UK time to do that video for you guys. All right, so let's look at these score predictions. Woo. Dave says 3-1 to the Arsenal. Gunnar Glenn says 3-1 to the Arsenal. Eddie's going with a 5-1 win, hat trick for Pepe. I like that. I like that confidence. Yo-Yo says 3-1 to the Arsenal. Slavia score first. Whew, I hope not. I hope not. I do not want to be around for the Twitter meltdown, for if they score first. But yeah, those are some good scores. AK Gunner says 0-0. We were going out on Thursday, just fear we're not a clinical team. The first leg draw is going to cost us. Oh no, that's so pessimistic. But hey, if you feel that way, you feel that way. It could go either way, to be honest. Don says, can't take an American talking about Arsenal seriously, no offense. I mean, that's your opinion, You don't have to take me seriously, but you are watching my video, so you gotta like something. All right. Velvishwan says, Happy New Year to my fellow Hindus. Yes, Happy New Year. How are you, Velvishwan? How are you doing? Kowser Shy? Sorry if I got that wrong. I really apologize. But 2-1 to the Arsenal. Saka and Martinelli to see us through. That would be crazy. If it was Saka or Martinelli or both of them, I would be ecstatic. I know Arsenal Twitter would fall apart. Velvishwan says Aubameyang is overrated. Velvishwan, I asked you how you're doing, not to batter our players. You didn't do the assignment. How are you doing? And Aubameyang's not overrated. I think, besides Lewandowski and a couple other strikers, he's been the best top 5 in the last couple of years. He's a Golden Boot winner. And the other times where he didn't win the Golden Boot, he was within 1. So he's not really overrated. The issue is that, I mean, you love Harry Kane. You probably like him because he has more to his game in terms of build-up and being able to be more involved, and Aubameyang is pretty limited in terms of his all-around game, but you cannot deny that Aubameyang's been one of the best strikers in the last couple of years, most clinical, and he scores bags of goals. So I have to disagree with you, as usual. I obviously want us to win. Do not get it twisted. No, I know you want us to win. I just know your feelings are that, we may have missed it in the first leg. So you're not as optimistic as other people. And I completely understand that. Eddie says, American fans do favorite. They always seem really passionate and enthusiastic. Yeah. So sidebar, just, I think it was the first time that I went to the Emirates and we were playing Brighton. Emery was in charge. That was my first time going to the Emirates. And if you remember that game, 1-1, it was not a great showing. It was horrendous. And it was one of those games where Xhaka did a Xhaka. He pulled one of the Brighton players down in the box, and we tied the game 1-1 when we were trying to get into the top 4. And everybody was looking at me and my mom. My mom is a huge Arsenal fan as well. Like, we were insane, because we were so excited because we were at the Emirates for the first time that we were screaming and yelling. And, you've been to the Emirates, it's not really the most robust crowd. Everybody's kind of quiet and it's a little, stiff, but we were passionate. We were loud, enthusiastic, just like you said, Eddie. And we are. American Arsenal fans are very passionate about the team, and we really care about it, So, yeah. I hope it shows, in me waking up at all kinds of hours to talk to you guys about this team. Miss Shane says, as soon as Americans became involved in Arsenal, we went downhill. I mean, if you're talking about the ownership, it is what it is. It's not really about them being American. It's about them not being great owners. There are plenty of examples of good American owners at other clubs, so it's not really about being American. It's about not being clued in into football and not hiring well and being absentee, so the sentiment that it's just about being American, it's not. There are a lot of owners that are not great, that are not American. There are English owners that are not great, so I know, I get it. The whole American thing is that it's about them being American, the Cronkies, but it's really not about that. It's about the fact that they're just not great owners, and it's a generalization that I don't really agree with. Let's see. Yo-Yo says, Arteta has 5 subs, so there'll be no excuses unless the ref is corrupt. Well, I mean, the European refs tend to be a little bit better, knock on wood, and yeah, he has 5 subs. Hopefully he will use them and use them early if things are not going right. Belvashwan says, I got to do what I got to do to get Harry Kane at Liverpool. You really want him at Liverpool? Is that really what you want? well, if that's what you want, but you'll have to pay a pretty penny for him. I don't think he'll leave uh, Tottenham for anything under 100 million. And I don't know if that's really what you guys need. Is it? Let's see. Do not waste the tweet says I'm not a KSE fan, but the former brass at Arsenal let in the America blame them first. Yeah, I mean, I just don't agree with it's because he's American thing. Um, it's because he's just not a great owner. AK Gunner said, I saw the tweet that you may go on radio to discuss Arsenal. Well done. Very proud of you. You are a great football presenter and top football analyst. Yeah, you guys, I'll be on the BBC tomorrow morning. It's I just was, confirming all of that right before I came on. So I'll send out a tweet later on today to let you guys know what time and all that kind of stuff. But I will be on the BBC tomorrow on the radio talking about Arsenal for about 10 minutes and the importance of this game and Arteta and that kind of stuff. But thank you for all the kind words. I really appreciate it. And you guys watching me on this channel is really what's getting the eyes on me for other opportunities. So, I have you guys to thank. Let's see. Velvishwan says, give us Xhaka and we will give you Wijnaldum. I mean, no. I mean, for that, I don't want Wijnaldum. I don't want anybody's leftovers anymore. I wouldn't even send Xhaka that way. I want to sell Xhaka and just move on. So I wouldn't want Wijnaldum either. Just don't want Kane at Arsenal. I don't. I'm sorry, you guys. I know that may sound stupid, because he's such a great striker, and I don't, I hate on him obviously because he's a Spurs player. But I do recognize his qualities and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want him at Arsenal. I don't want him anywhere near here. I see a lot of congratulations. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. I really, really do. Let's see. What else you guys got? It's only been 47 minutes. We have like 15 more minutes, and I want to make sure that we get a good hour in. So any more questions, comments, whatever. If you guys want to, I don't know, question if I love the Arsenal, go ahead. We can talk about it. I'm awake now. Eddie says, I could never warm to Kane at Arsenal. He's a cheating bum bag. Yes. I don't like him either. Here's the moment, really, for me. Look at that. Look at what he did to Gabriel, you guys. You want this at Arsenal? This is horrendous. I can't stand that guy. I really can't. Machine says, yes, please, Wijnaldum is much better than Xhaka. Only an American will disagree. I didn't say he's not better. You see, that's where you're getting it confused. I do think Wijnaldum is better than Xhaka. But do I want somebody's leftovers? No. Wijnaldum's on the wrong side of 30. After the Willian, Louise, those types of things, I don't want that anymore. So if you're asking me if Xhaka is better than Wijnaldum, no, he's not. But do I want Wijnaldum at Arsenal? No. And would I give him to Liverpool in a trade? No, because I think we could sell Xhaka. Nice try, Machine. Nice try. US or us said Watts. Kane is an Arsenal fan. I mean, he was in the academy, wasn't he? So he probably is. I mean, look at how many players are Arsenal fans. I know, was it Calvert-Lewin is an Arsenal fan? Ollie Watkins is an Arsenal fan. Everybody's an Arsenal fan deep down, aren't they? Don't need to sign a late 20s striker. No, we don't. And he's injury prone as well. Tony says, even if he wasn't a Spurs player, Kane is dirty and keep him far away. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. I saw a good comment. Where is it? Oh, Don Giovanni says Kane would be a perfect striker for our system. Yes, Kane is the perfect profile because he's clinical like Aubameyang, but he has the similar abilities to Lacazette, but only on a better level. He's a better player than Lacazette, but he has those qualities that Arteta likes about, being able to drop deep and play make and all those types of things. But I still don't want Kane. I would take somebody like him. Do you guys remember when I had Clive on the show? He was talking about how Martinelli reminds him a lot of Danny Ings. And I think there's a certain part of the fan base that would take Danny Ings at Arsenal. His injury record is not great, but I like the type of striker that he is, and Martinelli is similar. And I think, maybe Martinelli could do that kind of thing as he matures and gets better at his build-up play and things like that. He'll have that clinical nature plus the ability to drop deep. And I think if you give Martinelli an assignment, he will complete it, meaning that if you task him with being better in build-up and being able to, be a part of a different type of tactical setup, I think he can do it. And we also have Balogun as well, who's not bad, at building up play, so maybe one of those two can do it. But in terms of the perfect replacement for Lacazette or perfect striker for our system, I think we could look at, maybe Hudson-Edouard. I think he would be a good fit because he's taller and more physically, he's more, what's the word I'm looking for? He's bigger and stronger, and that's what we need up top, when we want to get in the mix. And Clive mentioned Isak from Real Sociedad, and I looked at him and I thought he was good as well, Who is the most underrated Arsenal player in your opinion? Underrated. Are we talking current or past? I think past would probably be maybe there's two that come off just right off the top of my head, past players in Bakary Sagna for sure is very underrated. I think we talk about Lee Dixon and Laurent, but I think Sagna was very, very underrated, and he was reliable, and he stepped up when we really needed him to. Monreal is underrated as well. I don't think that necessarily means he's on Tierney levels, but I think we missed him when he left. The difference between him and Kolasinac was huge. So he's underrated as well. I think Robert Pires is very underrated. I think Gilberto very underrated. Pires, he wasn't it was difficult in those times because we had such big star quality in Vieira and Henry. But Robert Pires was so good. Skill levels up here, and he didn't have the athleticism or the burst of pace that other players have to just kind of where they don't need the skills. His skill level was out of this world, and I think he was very underrated, as well as Gilberto. The perfect partner for Patrick Vieira, silent leader out there on the field. And again, he's another player that when he left, we missed him and we didn't know what we had until he was gone. So those four players off the top of my head, Robert Pires, Gilberto, Bakary Sagna, and Nacho Monreal, I think were very underrated. And when they left, we were like, oh no, it's not the same. Yeah, no, of course not. Because those players were actually really good. Let's see. Velvashwan says El Nasiri over Isak. Does El Nasiri, does he play for Sevilla? Is that the team that he plays for? I don't watch a lot of La Liga. When I do, it's usually, the usual teams, Real Madrid and Barcelona, just trying to see if they're good anymore, but when I watched Isak, I thought he was good. I don't know if he'll translate, to the Premier League, but I've been hearing a lot about El Nasiri. What do you like about him? Sam says, I think we should take Isak over Edouard. We haven't been linked with him, which is crazy, but we've been linked a lot with Edouard. But I think, either one I would take. I think they're dangerous, in different ways. Isak is lightning quick for his size, and he has some skills, and he's a good finisher. Edouard is tricky, has good skills, can build up play, can play off of the left or through the center. But I think both would be good options. It just really depends. The Assembled says, good afternoon, Jess. Nice to see you as well. It's still morning for me, but yeah, good afternoon. Ooh, it's a deep question here, deep question. Don Giovanni asks, how concerned are you about Arteta's overall management of players' fitness? Oh, it's a concern. It's a concern. I believe that Arteta sits down with the physio staff and, the medical staff, and they make a decision on risk versus reward. And I think there's certain players in our squad, in particular, Kieran Tierney and Bukayo Saka, that even when they're not 100% fit, he deems them a better option than the 100% fit person that would be taking their place, like Cedric or Pepe, and as a result, they have become injured, probably in situations that we didn't really need them. But it's just so difficult because I think from Arteta's perspective, he doesn't want to look like he's taking any game lightly. If you don't play Saka and you don't play Kieran Tierney, it looks like you're not taking these these games seriously, and after, the West Ham game, going into the Liverpool game, I think what he wanted to do was try to give us some confidence and get a result before we played against Slavia Prague. And it didn't happen that way, and Tierney got injured. And then Saka played against who did he play against and got injured? It was one of those games that he didn't really need to play. Oh, against Sheffield. And we thought he'd be out for this game. So risk versus reward, I think he just wants to make it seem like we're taking every single game seriously. From what he said today about feeling like we're in both competitions still, I think he does take them both very seriously. So it is a worry that he didn't drop certain players to keep them safe, but at the same time, I think he's between a rock and a hard place. These are things that he has to learn, but he has to trust certain players to fill in, regardless of what it looks like. Especially when it comes to Pepe. I can kind of understand more Cedric coming in for Tierney, but playing Saka, you could see the injury coming. You could see it. It was coming. And Saka has been unfit for a while. He still performs at a very high level, even though he's not 100% fit. But trust Pepe. Don't take any more risks with Saka. Edouard comps Lukaku. No, Lukaku is a physical beast, so I don't really think there's a comp for it. But I'll look around and see if there's somebody similar. But I see what you're saying there. But I think Edouard, he just has a good mix of qualities for a modern striker. And I think the fact that Leicester is looking at him lets you know that he's probably the direction in which we should go. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I can find in terms of comps. But Lukaku is a physical beast, but he's not as technically gifted as Edouard. So there's that. I love Carlos Vela. Obviously, so if you guys don't know, I have started an LAFC podcast. I actually recorded the first episode yesterday, and we talk a lot about Carlos Vela because he's the star player of LAFC, and I think he had a very difficult time trying to adapt at Arsenal. To be expected. Europe is nothing. The UK and Europe is nothing like Mexico and the places where he had been prior. And he actually did pretty well at Real Sociedad later on in his career, and he's doing phenomenally in the MLS. So we talk a lot about him, but yeah, he was kind of underrated as well. Eduardo, if he hadn't broke his leg, man, that guy would have been something. Let's see. Yo-Yo asks, should the World Cup remain in Qatar or as scheduled in the winter of 22? That's going to be crazy. Having the African Cup of Nations and the World Cup interrupting next season is going to be insane. I don't think the World Cup should remain in the winter of 22. I think it's problematic. It could be really difficult for the players, to adapt to this after not having any rest between last season and this season, and then to roll into more competitions mid-season. I think is also going to it's going to make the Premier League product not as interesting. I do see that, the level of the Premier League, I think we can all agree this season hasn't been up to standard. And I think it'll be the same way next season, but yeah, I think that's problematic. I like watching football, and year round is amazing, but during the season, that's rough. That's hard for me to come to grips with. Eddie asks, which Arsenal player has the warmest smile? I mean, I don't know. I mean, the current player, probably if you see him smile is probably, if I see Bukayo Saka smile, I'm always like, yes, he's happy. I think he's adorable. He probably wouldn't like hearing that because he probably feels like he's a young man or whatever. But I just see that 16-year-old, that 17-year-old, Bukayo Saka. So when he smiles, I smile for sure. Kanu, that's a good shout for, underrated players. Kanu was a beast. And we used to have like Wiltord and Kanu just chilling on the bench. If Thierry Henry and Bergkamp didn't have a good game, which was rare, you could bring in Kanu and Wiltord. And yeah, good days back then, right? I rated Adebayor so highly. Adebayor could have been something at Arsenal, but obviously, him and his differences with Arsene, and then we were moving to a one striker system versus the two up top. Back in the day it was 4-4-2, and they started to move more to what we see now in one striker, and that really hurt Adebayor because Arsene chose Van Persie, and I don't think he was wrong to do that. But Adebayor was not going to sit on our bench. They had their, differences, and he left. But I rated Adebayor very, very highly. Yep, Don Giovanni, Adebayor at his best. I don't want to say he's better than Aubameyang because I don't want to get clipped, but I rated him very highly. Yes, like I said, Gilberto, rated very underrated. And yeah, how do I feel about being linked to Ashraf Hakimi? Kind of said this before, but I don't think it'll happen. I think it's a nice link because it means that we're going after high quality players if it's true, but I just don't see it happening, so I'm not trying to get too invested. But I love Hakimi. I think he's one of the best right backs / right wing backs in the world. And of course I would take him at Arsenal. So just to go over the team news one more time, if you guys don't know, Saka and Smith Rowe are back, so they'll be available for the game. Aubameyang and Odegaard are still being assessed, whether they'll be ready and if they can train today. Balogun will sign a 4-year deal with Arsenal, and it'll be announced sooner rather than later. Arteta doesn't know if he's going to play Xhaka at left back. It's still an option, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. And this was something that I thought was really interesting in the press conference that was said right towards the end, and I wanted to make sure I addressed it here. Somebody asked him what he thought about Ian Wright saying that Odegaard is too good for Arsenal and he should play at a higher level. What do you guys think about that? Did Ian Wright really say that? That doesn't sound like something that he would say. But if he did say it, wow, that's rough. Arteta didn't look like he liked that statement at all. Obviously, he feels like we're still a big club. We're known as a big club still around the world in regards to players believe we are. Other clubs think we are. Other coaches think we are. But wow, if he said that, that doesn't sound like Ian Wright. It doesn't. And yeah, the Cadella, the player that racially abused Glenn Kamara, he's banned for 10 games. And obviously there was some sort of fine as well. But Glenn Kamara was also banned for 3 games for assaulting Cadella. So that's also, that's also a big piece of news as well. But I don't know. It may have been something that was taken out of context in regards to the Ian Wright thing. It just didn't sound like something that he would say. But Arteta didn't look happy when it was said. So, but yeah, you guys, I'll be back at 10:30 UK time with Sophie from the Highbury squad to talk about MLS players that could potentially play for Arsenal. I think it's going to be an interesting episode. I know it may not be some of your guys' cup of tea because you don't watch the MLS, but I do implore you to watch anyway because Sophie is a good time. I'm a good time, and it should be good. I will let you guys know on Twitter where you can find me on the BBC Radio tomorrow. It'll be around this time tomorrow where I'll be on, and hopefully we win the game. Yeah, and instant reaction on Instagram live right after the game on Shino's Arsenal Instagram for this game against Slavia Prague. Hopefully we're talking about a win. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that kinds of good stuff. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next one. Bye guys.